Hi, Ollie. Welcome to Brave Every Day. Thank you so much for joining me. How are you?
Very good, thank you. Yeah, very good. Happy to be here. Excited.
Yeah, I am too. You're a great guy, and I know you're going to help loads of people with your story. I'm over the moon that we've connected and that you can help my listeners. So I don't know where you want to start exactly, but yeah, if you just want to sort of begin with a bit of your story, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I guess we'll start from the beginning. Start from the beginning. I hope that my motivation, and everything behind it, really is to help people and people to listen in about sort of post trauma. So I guess it started when I was very young. I was born a triplet. I've got lots of brothers, so I've got two triplet brothers. Got an older brother, who's 2 years older. And when I was born, we nothing was sugar coated for us, and we knew that my dad wasn't gonna live throughout our lives. He was going to die at some point. The background to that is that my dad, he was a vet, and he met my mum, who's a teacher, and they were deeply in love. And then it's when he got to 28, he was diagnosed with a brain tumor, and he was told that he was going to live for a year. So in that year, they were like, okay, well, we want life to happen. My dad was absolutely convinced and really wanted to live as long as possible. Very motivated, and they pushed to have children. And they had my brother Monty, 2 years older, and then he carried on living. And then 2 years later, they were like, we're going to have more. He wanted more kids. He was loving life, and they had us boys. And yeah, so we knew that we didn't know when it was going to happen, but we knew he was going to be around forever. And then when I was about 7 or 8, and yeah, he passed away. He's sort of gone a bit downhill, and yeah, so I've got a lot of memories with him. My earliest memories are all of him, pretty much, and they're all good. They're all positive. He was a brilliant guy, very motivated, very charming, charismatic, enthusiastic, which I like to think that I got a lot of them traits of that. And then we carried on life. That's what was happened. I think we were all grateful that we got that time with him, because it was more than what the doctors and everything had said we would get.
Yeah,
I
that's
learned,
what I was going to say. It's so sad that you obviously lost him, but considering what the original diagnosis was,
yeah. Well, yeah, it
you've
was
got
13 years.
time. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's incredible. That really is incredible.
13 years, and what he was told one, but I think from like some of the stories in which I work with now, I feel very lucky, that I'm very fortunate that we got that amount of time with him. And not only that, because you don't remember really early memories. So the fact that we have memories of him, we were old enough to actually keep the memories of him, is brilliant. Like, I feel very fortunate for that. And he's influenced my life hugely. I live through values of him, and I have traits from him and stuff. So it's brilliant. Yeah. And then yeah, we live life. My mum met my stepdad. He's a brilliant guy. A couple of years later, and everything was really great. Everything was really, lovely. And then literally I was 17, and my mum, she just started behaving a bit differently, and they thought she had sinusitis, but she was convinced it wasn't sinusitis. So then they went for more tests, more scans, and she had a brain tumor. And it was a bit like, for everyone, it was a bit like, oh my God, here we go again. This is happening again. I think for my mum, I think it was the biggest thing of I can't believe this is happening to me now. I've got to go through this now, after looking after Michael, my dad, because she was full time carer for him and raising all of us boys. So she was like, I can't believe it. I think she was a bit like, I can't believe this is happening. And then she only 5 weeks. So I think in perspective, the fact that we got that long with my dad at that age, because if that had been the other way around, I'd have been a bit different story for us, I think. But we almost got both of their values and both of their lessons. We know who they were as individuals, which is really lovely. And yeah, and 5 years later, she passed away. And I just generally felt, I just generally feel like I lost everything. The relationship I had with her was so grand, because I think I valued her so much as an independent woman, and what she'd gone through, and she'd raised us boys, and she always put us first. And we never missed out on home cooked food, going to clubs, after school clubs. We never missed out at all. We never went badly. And it was all because of her. So we had so much respect for her. And she was the pinnacle of our lives. And I think for me, I was very much I was a bit naughty at school, and I was a bit of the rebel, compared to my brothers. And it was I very much wanted to show her that the effort she'd put into me was worth it. So I was like, I am going to get to university. I am going to do that. I'm going to show you that all the hard effort you've put into me is worthwhile. And so that was like my main motivation. Then when she died, it was a bit like I just lost it. I lost because it was about motivation. I lost didn't have any oomph. So I remember walking out of the hospital, and just collapsing against the wall on the floor. You almost breathe everything out, and I almost just breathed life out. And for about a year, I just wasn't me. I was lost. I didn't know what was going on. It was manifesting itself in so many different ways. But I think from people outside, they would have been like, "Wow, well, he's still laughing, and he's still, he's laughing, making jokes." And actually, I was a mess for myself. I was screwing myself over. Wasn't talking to people about what was going on in my head. And if I'm honest, when I think back to it, I can't remember that sort of year. I just know that I was in a really low place. And it got to a point where it was like, this is not what my mum and dad would have wanted. And it's not about, I couldn't find motivation. The changing point for me happened when it wasn't about motivation anymore. When it was just about action and about doing things, because motivation is so short lived and it changes every day. You can't rely on it to, as much as I would love to come on here and say like, my motivation is to make them proud. And that's a reason, but like that's not what gets me out of bed every day. What gets me out of bed every day is the fact that I have to do these things. It's not about, this is what motivates me to do it. That's the reason. That's like a reason. But at the same time, if I don't do these sort of things every day, I'm going to be in that bad place. And that's how black and white it is.
Yeah.
So, and that's whether that's the switch that happens to be, and that's where I am doing the work I am today. So that's a bit of my background.
Yeah, I think some people get dealt such a bad hand in life, for want of a better phrase. I can't believe that you lost your dad and then you lost your mum, like, with the same thing as well. It's crazy. But I think from what I know of you, your mum and dad would be really proud of the man that you are now. And I think you're clearly a very strong cookie, because a lot of people would have gone on a lot longer than a year being depressed, or, however you want to describe it. I had a lady on, and her name's Sylvia. You may have seen it on my Instagram. She lost her mum and her dad, and then 2 brothers, and it's just her and her brother left. And now she does grief coaching.
Cool.
And she's amazing. She's so smiley and bright, like you. Like, you're such a positive person. Everything you put out, even though you might discuss, really tough, cruel, heartbreaking stories, the positive twist that you put on it is what it's all about, I think. Because a lot of people that have gone through what you've gone through, what Sylvia's gone through, wouldn't be fighting like you are,
No, I think that's very true. And I think about the proudness, that's something in which I think at the beginning when I started everything, I was trying to make that feeling of someone being proud of me, because I missed that. And now it's just a thing of, they are proud of me. So it's really nice when people say that, like you just said that. I find that really nice. But I sort of feel that every day in the work that I do. And yeah, it's interesting, because when you were saying about people get dealt bad hand, and how long it takes to come out of it, or if they do come out of it. In the line of work that I've pursued and I do full time, I see, as much as we're talking about my story here and it's sad, every day I see stories that are worse than mine, and they're worse hands than mine. And it's almost a bit humbling. Like, I think most jobs and everything in which happen, like this is immense that you're doing this. This is great. You're doing this sort of work, because you will talk to people like me, other people like the Sylvia you just said, who you're hearing stories, and it puts things into perspective. But like when you're saying like how grateful you are, the stuff you can do with your son and how you feel for that. And that's a bit like my job. Like, every day I'm going in to see people who have suffered traumatic brain injuries, and they've actually had a complete change in their life, where they were smashing everything. They had a really high performing job. They were building a family, they're at a pinnacle of life where they should be enjoying things and going away and all this, boom, hit by a car or hit by a motorbike or something like that happens. And it happens quite a lot. And then they're in a completely different stage of life where they can't do any of that anymore. And as much as you're trying to help them, every one of them needs to accept that their life is just different now. They're not going to get back to everything in which they were doing before because they can't do it physically with their brain. And I see that every day. So it's very humbling every day for me that as much as everything's happened and it's bad, I have my health. I can move, and I shouldn't be taking that for granted. I shouldn't be, I can walk around. I can feed myself. Like some people can't do that. So there's so much that we should be grateful for all the time, no matter what your situation is. And I go and see people who are very not well off. They don't have the basics in life. And I think, well, as much as things have happened to me and my brothers, we emotionally, we had a lot of connection and a lot of love when we were growing up. It was full of love. So like we didn't get neglected in that way. And I think I almost think it's worse for people who have had that sort of emotional neglect or that they couldn't find that emotional connection, because that's hard to come through. Whereas we, as much as we didn't have mum and dad there all of our lives, it stopped at 17, we were raised in a loving household. And there's always so much to be grateful for. And I think in that sort of year, I went so downhill with thinking, why me? This is awful. You can talk as much as you want about your situation, but other people have it worse, and everyone's got their crap going on. Like everyone walking on the street has got stuff going on in their lives. Like it's not just you. And that's how I think when you think about that a lot, that's very humbling.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
No, I agree with you. I don't know if you've seen the snippets from my story, but I have been through quite a bit. But I always say, like, it's not a sob story. It's what's made me who I am today. And I always try and do everything with a positive spin. I mean, some of it was horrific, just like, you losing your parents. But I always say how grateful I am for what I've got.
Mm.
And I always, because like you just said about having a loving home to grow up in, that's your foundation for life.
Yeah.
And if you don't have that, then it's almost like the building blocks, isn't it, to get you to being an adult. And if you don't have a loving, kind, wholesome kind of upbringing, then I think it does kind of show when you get older. And I'm so lucky. It's my mum and my dad and my older brother, the four of us, and we're super, super close. I used to be the annoying little sister though, because there's 4 years between us. So when I was like 8, he was 12. He wanted to be doing like the teenage stuff early. And if my mum and dad went out when he was a teenager, then he'd have to sort of keep an eye on his little sister. But now we're super close. And I think my mum and dad have been married 54 years this year. And which isn't really that well known anymore, is it? I suppose for their generation,
No.
but having the foundation with them and how loving they are. And yeah, it set me up. I think I've done better from everything that I've gone through because I've had that. And I guess that's where you're coming from too, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. And I think it's thinking about that. And I really came to terms with that. As much as feelings are very important, and you have to understand your feelings in situations and in moments and what it means for you. But also, not all of our actions should be on our feelings. So that's so detrimental to your life. If everything you feel you act on, everyone will be in prison. The amount of times in which you're angry or annoyed with someone, if you acted on that in the instance, you managed to restrain yourself, you managed to hold yourself back. And it's the same with every emotion. Like when you're in situations where you're feeling overly happy, you've just won a competition and you feel overly excited or overly happy. You wouldn't go 100% to that emotion because there's other people who've lost there. We manage it, and it's
That's
like
a really good way of explaining that, actually.
Yeah, but as much as so in that position when I was in where that had happened to me, and I went for a year of moping around and acting fully on impulse and feeling, it was like, actually, I should be holding a bit of this back and going, it doesn't get me anywhere. Like acting on feeling all the time doesn't get anywhere. Understanding feelings is really important, but also going, what actions do I need to do that I'm not going to feel great about or I don't really want to do in this moment, but they're going to build the building blocks for the next step, and I need to do them. And I think nowadays, a lot of people, especially when they go through trauma, as hard as it is to say, it's a bit of a hard truth. You feel sad and something, and it's rubbish what's happened to you, but acting on it all the time is not what gets you to the next step. And understanding where you are and then going, okay, this is how I feel. This has been a bit rubbish. Life's hit me hard, but what is the actual next actionable step I need to do that's actually going to help me progress, help me grow? Because that's self-fulfilling. The first step you take, the first actionable step you take, and then you do it. It does two things when you do that. One, it gets you to a step forward. And two, it builds the person you are. The first, when you tick that little box off, it adds on to who you are. And so at that point, I took so many different steps where it was like, okay, who do I want to be? This is what's happened to me. I don't like who I am. I'm a mess. What the situation where I am at, I'm not going to school. I'm on the path of failing my A level, so I'm not going to go to any sort of university, which I really wanted to. I don't have a job lined up. And it was like, okay, so these three things, what can I do to help them out in this moment? I might not want to do them, but it's going to help me and benefit me. Who I wasn't for motivation and energy wise, it was like, okay, I'll get into health and fitness. So it was like, I'll join up at a boxing club and I'll do that one time a week, small step, but actionable. And if I do it, then it builds me up to be, I've been boxing and I feel like a health and fitness person. And that's who I am. It's like a new identity. It's a new little tick on the identity list. And it was, okay, if I go to school, I start going to school a little bit more, then I might get my levels and I might go to university. Okay, let's start going. Like, as much as I don't want to get up in the morning, if I do it, it will build it up and it makes everything becomes easier. And then work. I went across the road and got a job. I worked as a maintenance worker at a B&B and I loved it. I learned lots of different stuff. It was a break from my mind and I was earning a little bit of money. Them three things for me, they opened every door because they were just, I engaged with them, then it was the next step, then it was the next step and it grew. Whereas if I'd act on feeling an impulse every day in the morning, I wouldn't even go out of bed. Yeah.
You are very wise for your years, aren't you?
I think it's a lot of life experience in 28 years.
Yeah. 100%.
Yeah, I've worked with people who they might be 45, 50 years old, and then they haven't actually been through a lot in their lives, which is very fortunate for them. But at the same time, it means they haven't been in some sort of low place or a difficult position. You haven't gone through some type of adversity. They haven't learned or grown within themselves. Whereas some of the strongest people in the world now are very young and they've been through. Like, how can you say someone who's been through like a place of like they've been starving, got no food, no water, they've been in a war, they've been a refugee for however many years, they've lost both their parents, they've lost their family, they don't have anyone, they're an orphan, they get adopted, all in the space of 12 years. Like, they've experienced more than me in 12 years, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. I think you do have to go through some form of adversity to grow as a person to an extent. I always say, for Brave Every Day, I mean, don't get me wrong, anyone that hasn't had to deal with anything painful, great. Like, no one wants to choose that.
Yeah.
But I've always said, like, obviously my podcast is all about struggle to strength, like you.
Yeah, I love that.
You've gone through some horrible things, and especially as a child, losing your parents is just 17. Obviously, you were younger when you lost your dad, but 17, you're still a child, aren't you? Until you're 8. So it's a hell of a lot of loss. The fact that you're basically like a prime example of someone for Brave Every Day, because you're showing people what can be done despite it. And that's the thing. I think I use what happened with me as like fuel. It's like fire in my belly to go, well, this isn't stopping me. In fact, I'm using it to do better. I'm using this to people. I'm using this. And now I just can't stop trying to help everyone and probably in my plate sucks, but
it's reinforcing. It's so I'm sure it's the same for you. Like, helping people is so, I love that. Like, So when I started the business in neuro rehab, so people with neurological disabilities, brain injuries, as a personal trainer, I go in and I impact their lives immediately. Like whether it's a conversation that we have in that session, or we just get out of the house, or they don't want to get out because they feel anxious about going to the gym, about how they look or how they're moving, and we stay in and they do a little bit. That's like the biggest thing they've done all week.
Yeah.
Helping them is like it's self-fulfilling. Like not only it's your job. So like, I love it because that's what I get to do every day, helping people. But I've had good conversations myself with people, which I love because I'm very social. And then I've helped people and they are happy from the session. So helping people is so self-fulfilling. And it's as much as it's motivation, like I want to help people and I want to help people get better. For me, it's reinforcing. That's why I do it. I love it for myself. It makes me feel really good doing the things in which I'm doing. And I think a bit like you, where I was almost avoiding my story for quite some time because it was a bit like I was at a point where it was a bit like, this is my mum and dad's story, what happened to them. And for a few years, I was like, I need to dissociate from it and build my path. And I have built my path with not sort of saying my story, which I love because I feel like I've like with the company, the business I do, I've made it, got the networks, got the connections, doing a good job without any of the background. And then people learn about it and they go, this is why you're very empathetic and you're good at what you do. And it's the other way around.
Puzzle pieces go together.
Yes, exactly. And it fits the bill at that point. Everyone goes, oh, I understand it now. And I think, but now I'm at a point, and it's only been, I'm sure you've seen, it's only been sort of the last month and a bit where I've tried to push it a bit more because I feel like this podcast, I feel like it helps people. Like I would have loved to have, when I was 17 at that time, I would have loved to have come across this podcast. And at that time, well, it was 11 years ago now, that wasn't a big deal. It wasn't a big thing. Podcasts weren't a big thing. And people talking about their own stories so freely and available wasn't a big thing. But I would have loved to have come across it because like reading for me was a big thing because people were telling their stories and I could associate with them. I could resonate with them and it helped me. Like someone else has gone through something tough. How did they deal with it? How did they get through the adversity from it?
That's exactly
and so,
it.
Yeah, so this is why this is important. I'm trying to push this a bit more because you could have 100 people, 200 people listen, 1,000 people listen. One person listens and it makes a difference. And then I get a message going, this has really helped me out. Oh, I got that could have been me, that one person at 17. So this is I'm trying to push this a lot more with trying to help people out post-trauma.
I think you should because it's not just, it makes you more qualified for what you're doing because you've been through it. And I say this quite a bit and I'm not saying anything's bad about anyone that's been to university and got all their qualifications. That's brilliant. And they should be really proud of themselves. But with you've got so much lived experience that I don't know. I'll use a therapist as an example. So if I was going to go to a therapist after the domestic violence that I suffered, I would, and there was two therapists in front of me, one who'd been to university but had no lived experience, and one that had loads of lived experience, been through it, got through the other side, but hadn't been to university. Me personally, and it's just a personal opinion, would have gone with the person that had been through it, got through it, and is now stronger and happier for it, not the person from university, because I just find if you've got that edge with living it and being it. And I just think, obviously, if someone's got both, then absolutely great. I'd go with them. But do you know what I mean? And that's not.
You can resonate with it. You can resonate with it. This is what it is. It's like when you go to a social situation and there's 10 people there, and I really like boxing, and there's one person out of the 10 who likes boxing. I'm probably gonna make friends with them.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to talk to them more. As social beings, we're trying to find things to link up with and share information about and to connect. And so if you've got, and then just like that with the therapy situation there, as the theories obviously very important, but at the same time, if someone could sit there and go, this is how I understand. And this is the thing with brain injury where I can understand about post-trauma and I can understand about being in a hard situation, being in a low situation and building structure and discipline. This is my main thing, which I do in my sessions. But I always feel a bit guilty with it. I can't resonate with you've suffered a brain injury. I haven't. So when they go, you don't get it. You don't understand the motive. Like, you don't understand that I don't have motivation in the morning. I don't understand because I haven't had the injury you've suffered. And I will outrightly say it. I would never ever, I work with some people who go, I do understand. You don't understand because you haven't had the brain injury. You haven't been hit by a car. You haven't had your life completely changed. And I don't understand it from a brain injury perspective. But what I do understand is the feeling of you're struggling, like you're struggling in a low place and you haven't, you're trying to build where you feel like you can't. Like, that's what I can understand, and I can try and help them with that. So it's completely right. And it's something, it's not even a debate, because it naturally is how we connect to people who are similar to us than over people who are dissimilar.
Yeah, but you
natural.
also, you do have lived experience because you've had two parents that had brain tumours. So even though it kind of is you personally, because that was your family unit.
Yeah,
So
it's sort of indirect. It's sort of indirect, isn't it?
Yeah, but I would slightly disagree with the lived experience. I'd say that you do have some, for sure. You can help people that are in the family too, because you've been on that side of things.
Yes. So I think that's where I resonate a lot more with family members, seeing it from their view. And I think, and it's interesting because it's weird. I like whether sometimes when I'm in sessions, it does bring me back a little bit to especially with what was going on with my mum, because I was older and I remember a lot more about what was going on with her. So she was sort of a different person, and her personality changed very quickly as she would say things that weren't right. And so when I have clients who are a bit like that, it does link up a little bit in my mind. It takes me back a little bit to that. But yeah, like I say, like now I love going in and where are we at? You're feeling low, you don't have any motivation, which is fine because you're never always going to have motivation. It's a bit like probably like what you do. Like, you're very motivated. You've got the reason, you've got the fire for your own story about doing this podcast. But every day, sometimes that's probably not going to be there, but you know that you've got to get up for someone else. Like that's the accountability, which is so important. Like having my sessions, sometimes I feel like I don't really want to do it. But the accountability element is that someone is relying on me to be there, and they've messaged me and said, "Oh, I'm up for the session," and I can't let them down. Like, if I let them down, that's awful. Like they are relying on me. I think it's interesting building the building blocks when people are not motivated. Is all about just actionable steps. What do you have to do, rather than how do you feel? What do you feel like doing? Society wouldn't work if we just acted all on how we feel all the time.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean,
fall through.
Yeah, I mean, I am generally a really happy person. I do wake up in the morning with a spring in my step. I get up far too early, everyone. But there are days when I'm like, oh, is it 4 a.m. already? Or the dog needs, or my son's been poorly, so we've been up all night.
Yeah.
And I'm but I try, like, I'm not perfect and I would never want to be. And I always stress that, but I try to be the best I can be. And like, we all make mistakes. We all do things, maybe not quite the right way sometimes, but that's again, that's life, because we're all handed. I've said before, life doesn't come with a manual. And if it did, would it be much good? Because it would depend who was writing it. Because
100%.
It's not a one size fits all, is it?
No.
So my manual would be completely different to yours. Well, not completely different, because we've definitely got some similarities.
Some overlap. Some similar chapters. Yeah.
Similar chapters, but the cover would be different.
Yeah.
But I think, I think you're brilliant. I really do. And I think you are so much wiser than your years. And I don't mean that patronisingly at all. I'm 45 now. And you would, if I was speaking to you and we weren't on video, I would think that you were older, because of how you are and what you've been through and how it's made you now, which is all credit to you, because you have done it all on your own.
But it is all about that action. Like, if there's people listening now where, they are in a low point and they're struggling with the motivation, they're struggling to get up, they're struggling to do, or even if it's just struggling to be the person they want to be, because that's ultimately how we live every day. As much as people don't want to say it, like, we have an idea of what the sort of person we want to be, and we're trying to be that person. And that sort of person is full of lots of different things. Like mine's full of health and fitness. It's full of trying to get more into this sort of podcast stuff. I've got like it's full of trying to run my new supplement business, things like that. Is who I'm trying to be as a person. And if people listening who are struggling with that, it is the best way to put it is, so the classic therapy model. Obviously, I'm not a trained psychologist, just want to make a note of that. But from my experience, the classic therapy model is very much about has the loop, doesn't it, of feelings, thoughts, behavior, feelings, that sort of loop. And it relies on you trying to change your thoughts or your feelings, whereas actually none of it actually relies on your behavior. And the behavior is the most fulfilling part of the whole cycle. Because however you behave then affects the whole cycle. And if you put it into perspective, if you're going into a presentation and everyone's feeling nervous for a presentation, coming on here, I was feeling a bit nervous. Everyone will say, "Oh yeah, Ollie, you don't really look like you're nervous." I am nervous. I get nervous all the time. Everyone's nervous for a presentation if they're doing it. The whole model that relies on you trying to change your nerves doesn't work. You're not going to sit there before going, what do I have to think about to change my anxiety or to change the thoughts I'm having? You can't. You're around the environment which is stimulating them thoughts and feelings. But what you can change is, what do you physically do in that moment? Are you going to get up there, be shaking and stumbling around with your voice, or not do it, or walk away? Or are you going to get there and go, how do I have to behave right now? Do I have to walk up them steps? I have to get to the podium, and I have to read the text. And it's all self-fulfilling, because if you break down it into behavior, it's very simple. You're not thinking about, what if I think about this when I'm doing it? That's again thinking about thoughts. You're thinking about behavior. So if you're feeling low or you don't have the motivation, it's putting it as simple as, what do I have to do right now that is going to help me out and get to where I want to be, which is get up out of bed, get in the shower because I want to present myself well. And it might be get to the gym, even if it's 20 minutes. The whole thing about trying to be at the gym for an hour, waste of time. Not a lot of people are at the gym for an hour. Most successful people at the gym are not there for an hour. They might be there for 45 minutes. But if you get there for 20 minutes, it's a lot better than doing nothing. Like them little steps. And I think people don't do enough with temperance either. So like with moderation, people don't do enough of that. Like I'm sure everyone's done it. I did it. Like, I want to be a healthy person. I want to get into fitness. I'm going to go to the gym 4 times a week, and I'll do it next week. Why are you doing that? Like, you need to build it in slowly and pick one thing. What's the one time in the week in which I'm going to be able to go, and I'm not going to let myself down with it? It's going to have the biggest margin of safety time around it. So there's not going to be any excuse around it. Oh, it's a Tuesday night. I'm going to go on Tuesday night. If I can make it there Tuesday night for half an hour for 3 or 4 weeks, then I'll find another time to go as well, because I'll be in the routine. If you go intensity, never prevails over consistency, ever. Like, always will fail. Like, people need to try and small actionable steps that are going to be consistent and build a routine. That is what you need to focus on.
Yeah, definitely. I know people that would just decide they want to go to the gym, go for 4 days the first week, and then can't walk.
Exactly. It's also a thing, you get tired.
I've done that.
Yeah, well, there you go. It's like if you go for a run. If you're like, I'm going to start running, you've gone for an hour run. If you haven't run in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, what makes you think you're going to be able to run for an hour? You're going to be in bed for a week.
Yeah.
It needs to just be slow and manageable, and then you can build it into it as a routine. Like, I'm sure you have steps in your routine, like your daily routine, in which you have slowly integrated in there. It hasn't been like, boom, this is what I'm going to do from 4 a.m. until 11 a.m. I'm going to just do it tomorrow. Like, there are things in which slowly build in, and that's what makes success
and then it becomes a healthy habit. Yeah, no, you're right. You are right.
Yeah.
One thing I wanted to ask you, tell me about your relationship with your brothers.
Oh yeah, to be fair, I love my relationship with my brothers. So I have an older brother, he's 2 years older, Monty. He is a veterinary epidemiologist. He's gone down the route. He was a vet. Yeah, my dad was a vet. So my brother does more like writing research papers up and researching into diseases and stuff. He is a perfect picture of what an older brother is. he's been a role model. Like, he's a good guy. He thinks things through. He's very calculated in a good way. And you would go to him if you got a problem. You would go to him. And then I've obviously got two triplet brothers. So I'm the oldest by a minute, which I don't ever live down.
It's that mean you have to be the more responsible one just because you were born a minute earlier?
The irresponsible one would be the right way for that. I think. I'm the reckless rebel one. So the eldest triplet, Freddie, he's always been a bit more reserved, and he's a video game developer.
Wow.
He's always been into his games. Yeah, he's incredibly intelligent and very witty. Like, me and him get really well with. We have the same sense of humour. I could not see him for ages, and we would get together and we're laughing like we're making jokes that no one else would get, and we're laughing like it was when we were 15. Like, it's brilliant.
My brother are like that. We're both sarcastic, and we take the mickey out of each other. Like,
that's right.
Quite close to cutthroat to each other.
Yeah.
But we love each other to bits. But again, what you just said about no one else would get. Like, me and him would be laughing, and anyone around us would be like, "What, are those two okay?" Yeah,
and also, if anyone else was to make a similar joke to me that my brother Freddie would make, I would probably take offence to it. I wouldn't like it, I wouldn't laugh. But if he made it, I'd find it hilarious.
Yeah, he's got a bit of you've got such a good bond as well.
Yeah, he's got a bit of a green flag with that.
Yeah,
and then my brother Gus, who's the middle triplet, he's a professional ballet dancer. So he was in, he's high performing athlete. He was at Birmingham Royal Ballet, and now he's over in Florida Ballet, the Florida Ballet Company. So he's over in America. So I don't see him as much as I used to, and we get on really well. Like, we have great banter, we all have a very good relationship together. And when we get together, it's always very good.
Yeah.
So I think
you being so solid because of everything you've been through and you've experienced together as well.
Yeah, and I think you wouldn't. I think it would be. I think in a different situation with other people, if they hadn't experienced that, and being the proximity wise, how far we are away from each other, and how infrequently we see each other, people wouldn't be as sort of close as us. But because of everything that has happened with us, we're very bonded together. You know, like these are people who can actually fully understand my situation, and I think they think the same about the brothers as well. Like, we get it. So when an event comes up that's maybe, like for me, Mother's Day is a bit triggering, like, they would get it, they would understand it. So we're sort of bonded for life over that. And I think we always update each other of what's going on, and they are like, they'll want to hear about this straight away. And I think that there's always like an unwritten level of proudness amongst all of us just because of what we've been through. And I think that's always going to be there forever. They're good.
That's something so special to hold on to from such a horrendous thing to happen to you all.
Yeah,
that's like
definitely
the sunshine from the storm.
Yeah.
No, I'm sure they are really proud. And when you said about you were striving for people to be proud because you didn't have your mum and dad, I think I would be the same, because my mum and dad, I mean, my son now says he's proud of me. Like, he's listens to some of the podcasts. He's not allowed to listen to all of them, and because some of them we talk about, so he's 11, right?
Yeah.
So I have to be careful. And he hasn't, that's why I haven't published my story fully yet, because I'm not ready to hear what I went through. Just because his little brain, he's 11, like, his little brain probably wouldn't be able to comprehend it. But there's some done that he will listen to, or I'll let him listen to snippets. But he says how proud of me he is. But my mum and dad,
that's so lovely.
My brother, actually, he messaged me. Sorry, I don't mean to take over, but I just want to share this.
No,
with
go.
you. My brother's quite, like, he's 50 this year, but he's quite a lad, and he doesn't really say much about his feelings. And I shared a snippet, quite a harsh, it was the snippet where I got upset, but it was only when I was talking about the impact it had on my mum and dad.
Right.
I teared up, and I knew I was sharing that snippet. So before I shared it on socials, I shared it with my brother, and I said, "Are you happy with me sharing this?" And then I sent it to my mum and dad, and my brother sent back to me, "We're so proud of you."
Oh, that's so
And I
sweet.
was gone then.
Yeah,
But
that would set you off. Yeah, because
my mum said the same. And my dad, I know my dad's proud of me. Like, my dad will say things. I've just passed an exam for like cybersecurity, like a next level one. And my dad will say things like, "You take after your dad," instead of proud, because he
yeah,
had a different upbringing to what my mum had, right?
yeah.
But yeah, when
But
my
that's
brother said that,
yeah. Well, I can imagine, especially especially if it's from a background, or like the sort of culture isn't to just be like, oh wow, like I'm super proud. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's also that generational thing, isn't there? Like with your mum and dad, your dad saying it in a different way is him saying, I'm super proud. Do you know,
yeah,
like that's the generation thing's interesting at the moment, like how would people sort of view the older generation, but how they're communicating is the same way as how we would maybe outrightly communicate something, but they're just saying it in a different way. Like,
yeah,
this
yeah,
is how it has been
absolutely.
brought up.
I think it's very generational with the mental health as well. I
Yes.
think my mum and dad's age, my mum understands it better. Oh, not
Mm.
now. Like, they're both brilliant with that topic. I mean, they've both always been brilliant. I couldn't say a bad word about my parents. They're amazing, and my big brother. But I think if you haven't grown up with something, or you've been grown up if you've been brought up a certain way and certain things, like, don't worry about that, or do you know what I mean? But worry didn't
Yeah.
really sort of on that side of the family. You just put up and shut up kind of
Yeah.
scenario. So he was a slightly tougher nut to crack when it came to me being down, or, certain things going on in my life. Not the support, he was always there, just the understanding.
That's the generational thing. That's what it's like. Like but when we're talking about the action, like the thinking about where there's too much thinking about like feelings before like actions all happening from feelings. That sort of generation when you're talking with your dad is the complete opposite, where there's the feelings are sort of pushed to one side a little bit, and it's going, what do I have to do as a firm
As a
role model
man,
or man? Yeah, what do I
yeah,
have to do as a man here? Whereas we're actually in the middle ground between the two, like as much as you want, you like don't act on all of your feelings, but at the same time, don't hide your feelings and just do what you think everyone is expecting you to do. Like it's like that sort of middle ground. Like, yeah. Which I
yeah.
think
I
we're
think
moving towards.
yeah,
I
it's
hope
so
so.
much easier now, and that's the thing. Like, you can't blame anyone that was brought up in previous generations, because podcasts didn't exist, people didn't speak about mental health,
Mm,
suicide, all of that kind of stuff. It never got spoken about. So it was very much you are a product of your own environment to an
yes.
extent, because it was just never the way. But now, the more we talk, the more podcasts are available, more audiobooks that talk about it, and all the different things that are on TV about mental health now. It's much easier for people to sort of open up, because it's more of the norm, isn't it? It was quite alien
Yeah.
before.
100%. But it's interesting when you say the product of the environment. That is one of the biggest things in which, with like habit change and structure and discipline, that's like one of the most important things. All of it, like if you're low and you're sort of in bed, you're struggling with motivation, struggling, or like you're in the house and you're suffering with your mental health a little bit, anxious, depressed, like staying in that environment is the worst thing in which you could do all day, because everything around you is a stimulus for you to engage in the same routine. Your brain's primed to do easy stuff. So if you're in the same environment where there's the same behaviors, which is going to soothe you in the way like overeating, or sitting and watching the next film on the sofa and just scrolling through Instagram, if you're staying in that environment, all these different triggers like the sofa, like the cupboard, they fulfill that. Whereas as soon as you make the first step and you go, actually, what I need to do, you understand that loop, and you go, what I need to do is go to the gym or go for a walk. When you're out, these are all new. It's a new environment. There's new potential for lots of different things that are going to happen. They say the worst thing for an alcoholic to do is the worst thing an alcoholic to do is actually be around the same people in which they would drink with, rather than like the same location where they would have a drink, because the people end up becoming triggers, if they're gonna be people who stop them and go, if you go, please stop, can you stop me from having a drink or whatever. But if they're not going to be them sort of people, you need to move yourself away from them, because you will literally look at them and go, I need a drink. Like, you'll feel it. Your body will go, I need a drink. Like, it's the trigger. It's the same for smoking behavior. You need to move the environment and change the environment. So yeah, like, rearranging things works quite well in the home to try and integrate new habits.
Yeah.
Making things easier. You are a product of your environment, and it's making a good environment that builds them good habits.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I think what you're doing and how you've built such a great life for yourself now and helping so many other people is, really admirable, and you should definitely be very proud of yourself. So
I'm very proud, yeah.
I'll be your big sister, and I'll tell you that you should be
Pop a
proud.
message. Yeah, pop a message and say, I'm proud.
Yeah. Yeah. So what would you say would be a complete non-negotiable for you? Like one daily habit that would be non-negotiable? Like
But I have to do.
If you couldn't do anything else in the world for one day, what would be the one thing that you had to do?
Oh, that's a good question. Mine would be, this is interesting. I'll go on for you. Go on, you say for you.
For me, it would be getting outside and having a walk.
Yes.
Because that's one thing that or dancing around the kitchen like a lunatic to my favourite tunes, because that always is. But one of those two things, because I think
would be.
It just helps with it. We all have down days, right? Even in the position that we're both in now, we all have down days, and life is going to continue to throw curveballs at us. That's what I'm going to use, as an example. But having a bit of time to yourself outside in nature and getting a bit of exercise, I think would help. But you're a professional in what you do, so you can probably advise something better.
Well, mine's going to be pretty terrible. It's not going to be what you expect, I think. Mine would be one thing that's very mundane. So they wouldn't be it's not a specific thing as much as like it would be something very mundane, like cooking a meal or going out for a walk. Something that's not so like extravagant, because I think in them moments where you have time to yourself, which a lot of people don't have enough of that time to yourself, where you've got that time to reflect, focus on something very mundane, and try and enjoy something very mundane, like having a coffee, like at home. I think these things are really important, because they are the times in which you feel quite grateful for things, and you can reflect on and feel like when you are really thinking about it. That mindful activity is what I try and do every day without fail. So getting up, having coffee in the morning, when I'm walking the dog, to really go, I'm not on my phone, and to really go, I'm really enjoying this, and imagine if I couldn't have this. So it's not so much about what the specific activity is. If it was about that, it'd be working out, but even if it's 20 minutes, but it would be more about how I am doing an activity, which is just being present and grateful, that thinking about how would I feel if I couldn't do this activity right now? Even just cooking a meal, how would I feel if I physically couldn't cook this meal? And I'd be mortified.
Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point, because when you said about it earlier, we do all take it for granted. We take everything for granted. When I came out of, when I was still in hospital, after being on life support, I couldn't walk on my own, and I couldn't breathe on my own. So I was on breathing machines for like the majority of each day. They put me on a Zimmer frame. I was a year older than you are now. They put me on a Zimmer frame because I just had no strength, literally no strength. I couldn't walk on my own. And wow, is that a great, like, be grateful for what what you had. And it didn't take me long to get back to it, because I had so much determination. But yeah, you do. Everybody takes things for granted. And I get it. It's easily done. And I think sometimes
very easily done.
No, until you lose capability of something. Yeah. Even something as silly as your car's broken down and you've got to get the bus somewhere.
Yeah. But the fact that you can get the bus, like the fact that you can, there is the option. There was another time in life which you wouldn't be able to do that, and you actually were screwed that day when your car was broken down. Like, it's that we don't have enough of that, because when everything is fine, but I'm talking about your health. When your health is fine, everything's fine about you. There is a million things online and around you, not just on, so we go to social media, but advertisement boards on the bus stop, all the little slogans on cars and everything like that. Everything around you is an advertisement. There's so many things in which make you want more all the time. What they want comes from You see something and you go, I need that because I don't have it. And that's what all of this relies on. And so you think, my life's not great because I don't have that. Or my life's not great because this is upsetting me that I don't have this, or I want this and I can't get it. But none of these things matter if you suddenly you can't walk again, or you walk out on the road and you get hit by a car, or you develop something neurodegenerative, which can happen to anyone at any time. Like, as soon as even if, like, last week I had a cold and it was writing me off for a day, and I sat there and I thought that the whole time I thought, I wish I hadn't got this cold. It was a cold. But I always think when I've got a cold and it's holding me back a little bit, I think, bloody hell, I'm not grateful enough when I'm actually all just well and everything's fine and I don't have a sore throat. Like, you naturally do. Everything is a problem until health comes about, and health is a problem. And then everything doesn't matter. And everything else doesn't matter. And how do you put that into perspective? Well, if you, every day with a mundane activity, and you ask yourself, how would I feel if I couldn't do this activity myself? That would hopefully put it into perspective a bit more.
Yeah, no, I think this is one that you've said quite a few light bulb moments on this, and I know the listeners are going to be very inspired, but the whole gratitude piece is, it was a massive light bulb moment for me, because don't get me wrong, I am grateful, but I think the way you've explained it, everybody will understand it more.
Yeah.
Because I know we all take everything. We're all going to be guilty of taking certain things for granted, because
100%.
we're human beings. That's kind of how we are. But just remembering how lucky you are. But also what you said about doing things for yourself, like cooking a meal. Like, some people might be like, oh, well, would that be the only thing that you do? But actually, you're cooking a meal from scratch, or you're spending a bit of time doing something. I enjoy cooking. I don't have time to cook everything from scratch all the time, but I really enjoy cooking. So that would be a really nice experience and something I can do for me, but also make sure that I'm filling my body with the right nutrients, as opposed to ordering something online because I physically don't have time to make anything. So to some people that might seem like something really small, but actually if you open it up, it is actually a lot bigger than what you
It is a big thing.
Yeah. And like you say, there's people in the world that can't do that for themselves.
Yeah. And they would like the people I work with every day, they would do anything to do that sort of thing easily, like we could, instead of having to get someone to support them, get someone to move them into the right position and things like that, just to chop a onion. Like, we're very lucky. We're very fortunate to be able to do what we do every day.
Yeah, I think we can all take a lesson from you on that one for sure. So I'm going to ask you one final question. What does being brave mean to you?
I knew this was coming.
You did.
So I think what it means is understanding your feelings, but not letting them. I had it in my head. So understanding your feelings and moderating them to be able to engage in life the way you want to engage. So, understanding that you're sad, understanding that you're really happy or you're really enthusiastic. Everything, it has to be in moderation. Even if you've had, I've had some major successes over the last couple of years, and even the business now, the fact that I work for myself and I can do this every day and help people. But if I went too far into that, it wouldn't be good. Like, it wouldn't be good for me. I enjoy it and I'm very happy about it, but it would be ego driven. Everything would be based around, I'm so great, whereas actually there are still things I need to do. Like, I'm not there yet. There's a next chapter. Like, there's always the next stage. And I think being brave, we typically think of being brave as if you're in a situation of adversity and you're like, I stood up for myself, or, I'm doing the right thing. But I think all of that, you have to be able to understand how you feel. You understand how you feel in that moment, and then you take the next step based on how you feel, but also what you want, that middle ground, because that essentially is what you should be doing in every situation, I think.
Yeah. No, that's great. I get it. I do like that question, because I haven't ever had the same answer.
I can imagine. Yeah, I can imagine.
Like we said about the manual, like everybody would have to have the manual of life rewritten for them, because not everybody's life is the same. It's exactly the same as perspective. Our perspective on certain things, as you said, with gratitude, some people will think that just cooking a meal from the surface isn't a big deal, but actually it is. So it's all about perspective. And I love having the answer to that question, obviously, because it's my signature one and it kind of signs off the podcast really well. But just listening, I love listening to other people. I love learning from other people. And every single podcast I've ever done, I've learned something from someone. So I'm like a sponge. Even at 45, I'm like, oh, I don't understand that, but I'm going to find out.
Everyone should always be living as learners. No one's ever going to. When I used to train people my old job, the worst person in which I could train was someone who would refuse to learn anything new, or they thought that they knew how they were doing it because they'd been in the job for 20 years. Like, we are constantly learning. The things we've learned in the world in the last 10 years are huge, and they're game changing for every industry. So you would be an idiot to think that you can't be learning every day. Like, there's always new things all the time. So it's the right way to be.
Yeah, I agree. But no, Ollie, you've been an absolute star. I'm really excited to share this podcast with everybody. I will get all the links that you want me to share when I publish as well, so people will be able to follow you and contact you directly as well.
Awesome. No, thank you. I really enjoyed that. Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I could have talked to you for at least another hour. Easy. No, we'll do another one maybe the end of the year or beginning of next year. See where you're at and stuff, because people invest in the guests and want to know what they're up to, but which obviously they can follow and stuff. But yeah, you're welcome back on anytime.
Awesome. That's awesome. I really enjoyed that. You were awesome for that. I really like the work you're doing as well. It's brilliant. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Yeah, no, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for your time.
Awesome. No worries.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.